You are listening to Minor Metrics. I'm your host, Chris Mellon. This show is powered by a script written by Lockfox at Eve Prosper. This content is aimed at players participating in the mining profession and is provided nightly to give you, dear listener, the information you need to sell your product at the right price. Starting off with Tritanium, we see the Rorqual crash with a recovery after the nerf. Zooming in, we see our price has started to rebound off the 4.2 price point. Looking at the RSI line, I personally believe that Tritanium is still overvalued and turning back around soon towards 4.0. But I think it's still a smart idea to hold for now until we see a higher price peak. Next up is Pyrite with a very similar graph. Zooming in, we see that Pyrite has followed my predictions and is continuing downward. You will need to hold your Pyrite for at least a few more weeks before another selling window opens. Mexlon has a very different graph as the supply is not affected by Rorqual changes. Zooming in, we see a very large drop in price as I had expected. The good news is that the RSI has quickly jumped down to 55%, meaning that this might be the stable price for the foreseeable future. In either case, it is time to hold on to Mexlon and wait for another peak. Moving through, we have Isagen, which is displaying our Rorqual crash and nerf pattern. Zooming in, we see slow gains are continuing and volume has seriously dropped off. Hopefully this shortage will push the prices higher, but it's hard to make this call. I couldn't fault you for selling with these signals. I personally would hold and hope for something better, but then again, I don't have a particular need to liquidate this product. Next up is Noxian, displaying the same Rorqual pattern. Zooming in, we see the drop hasn't just started, it looks like it's already over in one massive day. If you did not heed my advice, you need to hold and wait for a couple of days for the market to swing in the opposite direction. Zydrine has a different pattern than what we've seen so far today and is currently recovering from a trough. Zooming in, we see that our price is moving sideways, but looking at the RSI line, we see that we're near 45% and heading further down. The price could go either way here. I personally would hold due to the RSI, but a partial liquidation wouldn't be a terrible choice. For the last of our regular minerals, we have Megasite. Megasite is currently falling from a peak, and zooming in, we see that our price collapsed yesterday. The good news is that the RSI line has crossed 30% and is bound to bounce back any second. If you didn't get out when I suggested to do so, you will definitely need to hold and wait for another price hike. Finally, we have Morphite at a super stable price. Zooming in, the picture stays the same. If you need to liquidate, go for it. But if you can hold for up to 6 months, you'll be able to supply the next peak. This has been Chris Mellon for Minor Metrics. That'll do it for the show. Thank you for tuning in, and be sure to check tomorrow for another episode.